Hey, welcome back. My name is Dino. This mini lecture is on virtual manipulatives. Basically, the focus of the video will be an introduction to the concept of virtual manipulatives. Many of you who are newer to this field might go, what are virtual manipulatives? Here's a couple of definitions. Quote, they are computer-based renditions of common mathematics, manipulatives, and tools. So it's basically taking manipulatives, like things that you interact with, like rods and things to count, etc., and just taking that from the physical world to the virtual world. Another one, another definition here is by Moyer. Quote, interactive web-based visual representation of a dynamic object that presents opportunities for constructing mathematical knowledge. So the second definition helps to sort of give a bit of a background as to why you would want it. So it helps the user in manipulatives to develop and construct mathematical knowledge. So they help with that ideally. And the reason for that is the idea of representation. For those of you who aren't super into the idea of mathematics, who might not know it sort of more from an educational background, there are multiple types of representation in mathematics. There's physical concrete, such as manipulatives and geometric models. There are visual pictorial representations. That's through pictures, graphs, and diagrams. Symbolic abstract representations. That's through things like letters, operation signs, and numerals. And finally, there are dynamic electronic. That's where you merge the characteristic of all the modalities through dynamic geometry software. So as a result, by having dynamic electronic visual manipulatives, it can help to communicate different types of representation in mathematics in various ways. Based on a couple of concepts that we already talked about, let's talk maybe about the rationale for manipulatives. And I talked a little bit about this in the definition. Virtual manipulatives are thought of as cognitive technological tools, so they help to develop cognition through the manipulatives. Users, normally students as you'd guess, they act on the virtual manipulatives as representations of objects with the consequences of the user's actions resulting in visual on-screen feedback from the virtual tool. So the way it works, like normally by touching various in real life and manipulative, it's through the touching of it and the manipulation of the manipulative that represents a sort of some kind of concepts, and that helps to help the user learn about that concept. However, in a virtual space, that interaction is through visual on-screen feedback from the virtual tool. So it's just sort of a different way to represent it. Again, this is sort of doubling back on some of the things that we talked about before, and this sort of contrast virtual and physical manipulatives. Although virtual manipulatives have some similarities with their physical manipulative counterparts as cognitive tools, virtual manipulatives have unique characteristics that go beyond the capabilities of physical manipulatives. More specifically, from this, their potential is thus increased for mathematically meaningful actions by users and influence the user's learning. So it's these unique characteristics of being able to manipulate them on screen virtually that give users even more meanings or different types of meanings. So they can be used in complement. So you can use physical and virtual in complement. And again, as you might imagine, the number of affordances, like positive aspects and positive features, that are, and these positive features are virtual manipulatives, and they're over, like in terms of things can be in some ways superior to physical manipulatives. One is links. This can be quote links among enactive, iconic, and symbolic notations, thereby supporting learners in making connections among these forms of representation. I teach courses in visualization, and there's a contrast between things like iconic, where something represents something specifically, and symbolic is more abstract, and these links can be really useful to show through virtual manipulatives. because these things are very can be very abstract in ways. There's alterability. Quote, there's capability to be altered, including changing the shape of the on-screen subject object or making the object with mathematical notations. In contrast to physical manipulatives, which are more static, if you're playing with say some kind of block to use as a counting device, it's it's a block. Obviously you can put multiple smaller blocks to make a bigger block, but in virtual manipulatives you can just manipulate them more in a virtual way. And finally, availability. Virtual manipulatives are already available with unlimited access to many copies of an electronic object with the click of the mouse. So again, it's easier once you have access to them. They're pretty available, like a lot of online and digital media. That was virtual manipulatives. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like this video. Please feel free to comment on it. Do you agree with the definitions? Have you of virtual manipulatives? Have you used them? Have you tried to use them in complement to or in contrast with physical manipulatives? How do virtual manipulatives help in terms of representing various concepts? Again, please feel free to comment on any of those ideas or bring up your own. And then finally, please feel free to subscribe to this channel if you like this type of content. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.